What's up YouTube, back with another champion concept video. Today we're going to be bringing a new champion to the Rift by the name of Regaris, the Asylum Guardian. And like always, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe to the channel. I will keep producing more champion concept videos for you guys. And without further ado, let's get into the champion's bio. So the first thing about Regaris, he is part of a race that very few have ever seen, known as the Immortals. And Regaris specifically is actually created by a ritual that happens every about 50 years or so by a group of magic users known as the Silk. Actually, anybody who uses magic in Kalabak is known as a Silk. So what happens is a group of 5 individuals of magic users do battle with each other inside of this temple, and they basically battle to the death. The last person standing is able to complete the ritual, which will awaken the spirit of Regaris. The 4 fallen magic users will actually be sacrificed, their bodies and their power will be sacrificed to manifest the spirit of Regaris. Then the final person, he or she will actually become the host for the Regaris embodiment. Now Regaris is not a one person. He doesn't really have an identity. He is made up of hundreds and thousands of souls that have been sacrificed over the year to keep this flame known as Regaris burning. And that sounds a little evil, you sacrificing to keep some sort of being alive. He actually is a protector. He's actually a good guy. He actually protects he or she actually protects a prison known as the Megalo prison. This prison actually inhabits a ton of the most dangerous beings and creatures that actually walk through Kalabak, or have before at some time. So he protects anybody from getting out of this prison, as well as people wandering into this prison. That is this being's job. And for this fire to continue to light over the years, somebody has to sacrifice their soul. Very similar to how in Dark Souls they sacrifice their souls. I'm not going to go into that game. Too much lore there. So with Regaris, they have one main weapon that they use, which is a spiked chain. I wanted to go kind of around the Ghost Rider sort of appeal with the chain. Thought it was really cool. A dark spirit entity. Think of it as a giant suit of armor covered in like smoke, which the smoke is actually spirits. That was kind of the look I was going for. Style wise, I was thinking something more along the lines of a top laner, but he actually is a very niche version of a bruiser. A top lane bruiser. He would be more of a defensive bruiser, and we'll kind of see once we go into the kit here. So the first ability is called Armored Soulscreen. Regaris has 3 main sections of its health bar. Each is separated by an armored threshold. Once a section of health depletes past one of these thresholds, I was thinking like a little yellow chunk in the health bars. Once it goes past one of these thresholds, smoke will protrude from its armor, creating a blinding smog around Regaris for 3 to 8 seconds. This also scales with his level, so very similar to Akali's W. Each section of armor also grants Regaris a percentage of damage reduction. As it loses armored sections, Regaris will lose damage reduction bonuses as well. And he needs 1200 HP at the very start to be able to use this passive. So once he hits 1200 HP, this portion of his passive will actually activate for the damage reduction. The first section, if he has all 3 sections of his armored threshold, he will have a total of 20% damage reduction, and then it goes down to 10 and then to 5. I really like this passive. The damage reduction was more so just an added bonus of making him a defensive bruiser, but the first part, where every time he goes past one of these thresholds, he will actually protrude smoke from his body. This makes it very hard to dive him, so champions who are really bursty, whether it's Garen, Trendemir, Riven, Darius, all these champions who are going to try to dive Regaris, it's going to be very difficult to do that. Just going past the first or second portion of his threshold, you're going to get a bunch of smoke everywhere. You're not going to be able to see. This is a very good tool that he can use to either dive or to stop somebody from diving him. And then the other part with having the damage reduction just makes him very difficult to kill, just on top of the fact that you can't see him. And then a little noted bonus at the bottom, Regaris is also immune to being blind. So this is a small little tidbit that I wanted to throw in there, but couldn't end up being very effective. So champions like Teemo, champions like Nocturne, champions like Graves, their blinds will not work on him. So keep in mind that when you're playing against him, you are not able to blind this champion. So Teemo counters won't really work too well. Alright, going into the first ability, known as Hardwired. This is a cooldown that starts at 10 and goes down to 5 with a range of 575, and then an added range of 80 on the left side and 80 on the right side. As you see, that there are 6 levels in this ability, very similar to how Rise has 6 abilities into his Q and then 2 into his ultimate. So somewhere down the line, one of his abilities is going to have 1 less skill point into it. This is a skill shot. Regaris will crack its spiked chain in target direction. This also passes through minions, dealing magic damage. It will deal bonus magic damage at the end of the skill shot, very similar to Aatrox's new Q, as well as bonus magic damage to the left and the right of the impact zone, which will be a sparking effect. This is similar to Vel'Koz's Q. So how Vel'Koz's Q is very, geometry based. After it hits at a certain point, the left and the right will kind of expand. The shorter version of that, so 80 range, I think Vel'Koz is like 100 or 175 or 200 something. It's something like that. So it's a little bit shorter, but it will hit that target. Also, any target hit with the outward sections, whether it's the top portion or the left or the right, basically any area that's going to deal bonus magic damage, it's going to apply a passive known as Eclipse, which we'll get into in a different ability. Alright, the second ability is known as Beholder's Eye. This has a cooldown of 25 and goes down to 17 with a range of 200. This is a directional ability. Regaris will summon a large Shadow Hound, very similar to Callista's W example, as an example. The Shadow Hound will roam in target direction. Upon reaching its maximum traveling distance, the Shadow Hound will disperse in that area, creating a True Vision Shadow Ward for X amount of seconds. This is a zombie ward that has control ward effects, so think of it as a control ward with 1 hit point on it. If the Shadow Ward finds an enemy, the Shadow Ward will chase target and ultimately dash through the target, dealing magic damage and then marking the target with Eclipse, as well as adding True Sight for X amount of seconds. So either the Shadow Hound doesn't find anybody, and at the very end it will become a Shadow Ward, or the Hound will find an enemy, deal a little bit of damage, and then applying the True Sight effect to them for a few seconds. This is very good for scouting out the enemy jungle, trying to find where that pesky jungler is, if it's counter ganking, if it's coming up to gank you. Also finding champions who have invisible effects on them, whether it's Rengar, Kha'Zix, Shaco, Twitch, Evelynn. It's gonna make it very easy to track them. If you can actually find them with the Shadow Hound, then you'll be able to track them with the True Sight. The third ability is known as Chained Equinox. This has a cooldown of 17 going down to 10 with a range of 400 and an extended range of 200 on the top of that. Regaris throws a spike chain forward, embracing the first champion hit, dealing physical damage and applying Strangled for X amount of seconds. Strangled is a new ability effect that I've created, so if you guys have never heard of it before, it's because I made it up. Strangled targets can use summoner spells, but cannot move or use abilities. Auto attacking is not affected. You are able to auto attack, and Regaris can move while strangling targets. If close enemy champions have Eclipse applied, the chain will extend to them, strangling them as well. Strangled targets will be pulled towards the first champion who is hit by the Chained Equinox, which will be about 100 range of a movement. The 200 range extension is champions who are within 200 range of the first champion who is strangled. So if you have Eclipse applied to you, you can actually end up pulling in 3 or 4 champions into a small little area, which will make wombo combo stronger, makes you have a very, very strong team presence. Now, I know somebody in the comments is going to say this is very similar to Varus's Chain of Corruption, and it is. It's very, very similar. This ability, however, is not an instant active. It's very similar to Urgot's E in a sense of it has a charge up ability to it. So, has a little bit of a charge up. Once he throws it, it will land on that first target, and then it will instantly latch on to targets who are within that 200 range. Very, very good ability. However, you have to be able to land it. If you don't land this ability, you are completely useless in a team fight. So this is a big part of his kit. You have to land one of these abilities, and then this will actually trigger the ultimate and help, or it won't trigger the ultimate, but it will help the ultimate work a little bit better. Speaking of the ultimate, we're going to go right into its final ability, which is Grim Ending. This has a cooldown of 165 and then goes down to 155 with a range of 600. Now, there are 3 different active abilities in this main ultimate ability here. So we'll go through the first active. Regaris forges a Forsaken Gate behind his current position, granting slightly increased resistances when near it, both magic resist and armor. While you're fighting enemy champions who drop below 30%, HP can now be targeted by the second active. So to slow it down here, the first active, wherever Regaris is standing, he will throw down a gate behind him. And then while you are fighting, any champions who drop below 30% health can activate the second portion of this. So upon activating the second time, this will trigger a skill shot coming from the gate, not from Regaris. This will come from the gate. If a target who is hit by this magical chain are under 30%, you can actually reactivate it again to slowly pull them into the gate. This is not how Urgot's ultimate works, where when you pull them in, they're instantly executed unless Urgot dies. They're not going to. It's not going to do that. However, the target is also strangled during the process, so they can't move, they can't use abilities, but they can use summoners, and they can auto attack. If the target passes through the gate will explode, dealing AoE magic damage to everybody around him, including the target. If the target dies while passing through the gate, it will still deal AoE magic damage to everybody, but then the target who died will have an increased death timer. Now this is very, very interesting because there's no ability in the game that increases death timers. And Riot, if you're watching this video, this is a really cool ability to add. So let's make sure that some sort of champion, whether it's Regaris or a champion in the future, has an ability like this. There's an ability, I forgot the champion's name, but in Dota, there's a character who has one of these type of abilities. And this ability will scale up to 45 seconds. This scales with bonus AP. So the more AP you have, the closer you will get to that 45 max seconds. Can you think about it? If like you're 35 minutes into the game and you kill a target, you kill like an important carry or maybe the tank on the team, and they have to add 45 seconds to their death timer. That's insane. That's a really, now I wouldn't say a broken ability, but a game-changing ability. Now, the problem is I made this ability a little bit weaker as what I could have, because it's actually going to be triggered from the gate itself. So champions really just need to stay away from the gate. Once that gate gets thrown down, you need to be able to stay out of range of that gate. You know, Regaris can be fighting, you know, a few steps over, you know, from the gate, but if a target walks close to that gate, he can actually trigger it from there, making it, you know, very powerful, but also making it kind of predictable. So if you just stay away from the gate, you won't have a chance to get tagged by it. But if you're in the middle of a team fight and you're next to Baron or Dragon, and there's a lot of small enclosed areas in there, it's hard to get away from it. So let me know what you guys think about that ultimate. And like I said, if Riot ever watched this video and they saw this ability, I feel like they should add it to a champion. So I just want to make that note in there. All right, and then to end the video, I always add some of my key points for this champion, whether there are some really strong points or just some weaknesses that I know are in the champion. So we'll start with the positives. Regaris has great lane control. As a very defensive bruiser, which I don't really think we have one of those in the game, it makes him very hard to kill. Now on the flip side, he doesn't really win a lot of 1v1 matches in the top lane. So we have, whether we have Renekton, Garen, Darius, Fiora, all these champions who, if they dive him, it's gonna be really hard to kill him. On the flip side, he can't really kill them too much. You know, he can't really output enough damage and to weaken one of these champions. His Q does really good poke damage. Other than that, his E, I made his E scale with physical damage. That way, it's not going to do a lot of damage for a CC ability of that, magnitude. And then his ultimate is the only other form of damage that he has in his kit. So he's doing a lot of auto attacks, using his Q to poke a lot. His W will do some form of damage. I don't know what the ratio would be on it. You guys can give me some ideas, but it's not going to be a killing ability. So he's going to be really hard to move from his lane, but he's not going to be able to move other people from his lane, if that makes much sense. And then kind of the last point, Regaris does not have any movement abilities, so kiting him or just closing the gap on him is going to be very easy for champions like Camille, Riven, Fiora. It's just killing him, which is going to be the problem. So let me guys know what you think about this champion. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you like this video, if you like the concept of this champion, and subscribe to the channel so I can keep making these sort of champion concept videos for you. And also, just like I say in every video, if you guys have any concepts that you want to see me try, whether it's a champion idea or even a rework, let me know in the comments and I will sure to get back to you guys. And also, like I said, I'll see you guys in the next video.